Welcome to Not Factory Approved. On this video, or series of videos actually, I'm going to be showing you what I did to build this Sandblast cabinet. And there's a couple of things I would change, but I'll go through that in the video. Basically, it works perfectly. It filters through that bag. It has a furnace fan at the back that blows air in, so it's under pressure, not under vacuum. Which leads to some leaks that you have to be very careful about. But basically, it keeps the noise down, keeps the dust down, and it clears the cabinet better. So, stick with me, and I'll show you what I did, and hopefully that helps you come up with your own idea. Last year, a friend of mine was moving, and he had some galvanized sheets. And I only bought 2 of them, and now I kicked myself. I should have bought quite a few more. I bought 2, so I wanted a Sandblast cabinet bigger than the one I had before, so I was aiming for 2 feet by 4 feet, the footprint. All the dimensions are dictated by the sheets of metal that I have. Metal is quite expensive these days, and I don't want to go around buying brand new metal to make this. Some people have made them out of plywood. I had the sheets of metal, so I'm going with that. That's the better way to go. Stick around and I'll show you what I did. Here's one of the rails for the back panel, but it has, I'll show how it fits in a minute, but I have to bevel, or I have to bend this at around a 10-15 degree angle. I've notched it, if you can see that, and I'm going to see if that's enough so I can bend that enough to fit, and then I'll have to do some more shaping on the other pieces. I'll show you what I'm doing. This is the back panel on the floor and the side panel sticking up. It's 6 of one and a half dozen of the other, but I've lapped this from the back on the outside. It will look better from the front on the Sandblaster cabinet, but it doesn't look better from the side. So you decide which is more important to you, whether you put this inside or outside the lip. If it's outside, then of course the panel has to be a little bit bigger to fit the outside dimensions of this back panel. So I've notched out the angle iron and I will weld those together. But right now I'm sizing everything because I still have to do this 10 to 15 degree angle here. I think I had it measured at 15, but I don't have the protractor right at the moment. So anyway, I'm still sizing things up, see if I can bend that to fit. And then there'll be another one. I'll have to do that again for the top, or the front rather, front and top. And see if I can get this frame made. There's the frame. It's square in each corner. I beveled in here and the other end as well. So that's the back panel framed. So I think what I will do is I'll put everything in position here and just put a spot weld in each corner, and then I can pull it out and hopefully frame it up solid after that. Check that it's flat and square, etc. And then finish it off. Then put it back in there. Although I probably should drill and tap holes as well. I'll do that once the frame is finished. I think that would probably be the better way to do it. I can hang on to it better. Time for another tour. I made the back frame. I drilled and tapped all the holes in the angle iron. And I drilled larger holes. Once I had those holes tapped, then I drilled a small drill bit through and then opened these up. I'm just going to use 7/16 head 1/4 inch coarse bolts. Do those all around. Same on this one. Once I made the frame, I wasn't able to drill it on the drill press. It was too much like work by hand, freestanding. So I'm going to wait until I've got it all together, and then I'll drill and tap holes on the sides. I've done the front. I was able to do that on the drill press. Those are all tapped. It's all square. Now I got to build the side frames. There'll be a couple of braces down on the bottom. And then there'll be a mesh goes on top of that. And then this is the first half of the front with the opening down below for the sand exit. And you fill from the top. I haven't decided exactly how I'm doing the lid yet. It might just be, 6 to 8 inches in on each side. And do that, put the window in there. But that's to come. I'll just build the box and then go from there. Bit by bit as it goes. I guess I can be taught. I actually drilled, and I'm going to tap this yet. I drilled the holes before I welded the piece in. And this piece actually goes on this side. Like that. It has an angle to match. Don't forget that each side is a mirror image. So this one will not work over there. It has to be the opposite. And then I'll weld those together and then make the upright pieces across here. And probably the braces after that. There's the basic frame. I have a little welding to do yet. This piece, I ended up cutting it completely. Cost me basically a cutting blade to do that. The choice was going to town and getting some flat bar, and they want like $30 a bar now, $20 anyway, at building supply stores. So now I gotta make sure that this one is straight and flat, because the lid is going to mate with that surface. This one is not as important, but it needs to be fairly straight. So now I have to set everything up. These are acting as lifts to hold this in the right position, and then I'll try and make sure that this is straight and square and give it some tacks. Here's proof. Always watch where your sparks go. That was in that cardboard box before I shielded it. I started smelling something. There it was, smoldering away. So it's been welded about every 4 inches for an inch, 3 inches. Unfortunately, it warped when I was doing the welding. So think about whether I want to straighten it out or not, or live with it. If I can get a section that's flat, big enough for the top door, then that's good enough. But now I'll take it outside and grind it. As things move on, it becomes more obvious what I've done wrong. So I have to take off the back panel and straighten, rebend this edge, all these edges to slope towards the drain, the exit for getting all the sand out when it's finished, or media. And then clean up corners and so on, get them to sit properly. So let's work on that. I also have to rebend the angle of that piece. I bent it by hand yesterday, and it's not a huge deal, but it's kind of rounded there. I'd like it to be a little more crisp. That's about it. Onward. So I took some poster board and cut the shape I wanted for here. So I'm going to do those two pieces each side, and I'll do the back piece. Actually, it would have been easier, I think, to make 2 pieces like this and then work on the side pieces afterwards. But this is where it's at now, so I'm not going back. So I bought some galvanized sheet, cheap stuff. Guess where it's made? Oh, this one is made in India. Look at that. It's not where I thought it was made. So galvanized was actually cheaper than hot rolled. So anyway, it's keeping with the theme, galvanized. So those pieces will go in there now. I'll join them along here. I might put a rubber gasket between them. And then I'll put the screws in, try and hold them together. It'll definitely be strong enough. There's no weight on there other than the sand. And I'm going to make a 5-inch by 5-inch hole here. And then I will probably reduce it down a bit and put a plug, like a drawer there, a door rather, that will let the sand out when it comes time to change it, or the media. So keep it on going and I'll straighten everything out. I got these angles wrong here, so I had to bend them back, and it wasn't very easy to undo things in the brake after they're bent, so it's not as nice as I would have liked, but it will certainly be functional. So onward, try and seal things up, get the hopper finished, and then I can work on the frame to hold it up, and then we'll start cutting holes for gloves and furnace fan blower. It goes on the back, and any mounts I have to make, and light, etc. Everything has to be reinforced yet, but that's the basic idea. This will be the bottom. And so much for adjusting with one hand. This will go in here, 5 1/4 inches square. Can't do it one-handed. That's the idea. It fits between those two, and I'll have to build a piece to go around the outside. Seal it off, and then it will have a hinge door on here with a seal and the lips going up over the edge, so when you open it, it doesn't flow at the sides. And that should do it. It's sloped slightly, or positioned slightly towards the back. You can see that. It's 13 inches on the front slope, and 11 inches on the back slope. And that's the piece that's going to do it. Last one for the housing, other than the top door. There's the basic idea. It's upside down, of course. I have to trim some more here from this one. It's a bit too tall. But that's how it fits. And I'll screw it all together. It would be better if this was on the outside like this. I'll still work on that. But chances are it's going to be like that. And then I have to put screws in, hold everything together, whatever I'm going to do to seal the joints. But that's the basic idea. It sits around the other way, just like the other sandblaster hood. I'm using old bicycle tube as my rubber seal for the joints on the bottom anyway. I've got some in there now, you can see. Fold it over, punch the holes so the screws don't wrap around it. And there's the tube there, so I'm getting, out of each section, I'm getting 2 pieces. So that'll be enough for the 4 panels here. It won't be enough for in here. So I have to see if I got another tube for that. Other thing that's important to do is to cut those screws off. They're incredibly sharp. They'll rip open your hands. My hands in this case. I don't want to be watching out for them every time I clean out the cabinet. I cut off the screws and ground them down, and they were still pretty sharp. So I just took some cheap caulking and put a daub over each screw shaft. And that hopefully will stop getting injured. So the angle I've got it at, I will always have to brush this out. I didn't have enough metal to make it any bigger, any deeper than that. This side, these sides should be okay. It's those ones that will not be okay. But carrying on. So I still have the portholes to cut for the hands, for the arms. Got the back to cut for the furnace fan that's going on it over there. And I've got to frame up the lid yet as well. And then of course make a stand for it. And the pickup tube and the air line and lights. A few things to go yet. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or even notify, or any of the above, or all of the above. Thank you.